Hello guys, welcome to today's tutorial. In this tutorial today, we are going to be learning how to use Elementor Page Builder. Now, what exactly is this Elementor Page Builder? Elementor Page Builder is a plugin. In one of my previous videos, I've explained to you that a plugin adds additional functionality to core WordPress. Now you can see it right here. If I come to my home page right here, you can see this is a freshly installed WordPress. So I've simply installed core WordPress and this is what we have. So at this point, if you don't know how to install WordPress, you can take my course from beginner level to advanced level on WordPress website development. So I've dropped the link in the description box below, and if you click on the title of this channel or my picture below this video, it is going to land you on the home page of my channel. Then click on the playlist. You will see the playlist of WordPress for beginner tutorials. Okay, so now I've installed the core WordPress and this is it right here. Now with core WordPress installed, there are some things we can do. Of course, creating pages, we can do some things, but when you want to add additional features that the core WordPress cannot do, then you need to think of plugins. Like I've said it earlier on in one of the videos, that for instance you want to create an e-commerce website and the core WordPress cannot do it alone, then you need to think of plugins to install so that you can be able to have e-commerce functionality in your WordPress. So now we can actually create page here. So I'm going to click on pages and we can use WordPress defaults to create pages. So if I click on add new page, so let me open it in a new tab. I love to keep my WordPress admin dashboard, and let us create a new page right here. Okay, now so we have this. On clicking on add new page, we have this and we have these patterns to choose from. So if you want to choose from the pattern, you want to create a page and you have a pattern you want to use here, of course you can add the pattern and from there you can change some content here. So let me just click on this pattern right here. Then I need to add my page title. So let me just write home. Then I'm going to come here and publish. All right, so let me view this page right here and see what we have. Good, so we have this. Okay, don't forget we only added that pattern, but of course sometimes we want to do something more than this. We want to have full control over our page, and that is why we need Elementor Page Builder. Okay, there are other page builders. Of course, if you search online, you are going to see other page builders, but of course Elementor is one of the top page builder that you can use, and it is easy for you to use. And for Elementor we have the free version and the paid version, but of course there are so many things you can do with the free version. So don't forget, I told you that Elementor is a plugin, so we need to come under plugins and install Elementor Page Builder. So I'm going to click on add plugin. Then on the search bar here, I'm going to type Elementor. Okay, so you can see it right here, Elementor website builder, more than just a page builder. So I'm going to click on install. Now it has been installed. Then I need to activate, so I'll click on the activate and activate it right here. Now this is the page that I've just created. You can see it right here that at the top here I'm not having anything like Elementor Page Builder, but this page has been edited before we installed our Elementor Page Builder. Now after the installation, let us refresh this page and see what we have. Now on a successful refresh of this page, you can see that we now have edit with Elementor. Okay, so I'm going to click on edit with Elementor. So I want to edit this page with Elementor. Good. Now you can see that even right here, what we have on that page before we edited with Elementor, we still have it right here. So now if I click on this eye icon here, then I can preview. So I'm going to click on preview. So right here we should see that page again, so you can see nothing is lost. But now I'm not going to retain this template. I just want to teach you Elementor from the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to remove all this from this page. So let me remove it. All right, so you can see that has been removed. So I want to publish again, then this page is going to refresh and you can see everything is gone. Now let us start with Elementor. Okay, this is Elementor environment. We have the top bar, we have the sidebar to the left hand side, and we have the main page right here. The idea is this: we are going to be creating rows, and in the rows we are going to be creating columns, and in the columns we can add rows. Okay, so that is the idea behind page design. Now if you come here on this website, you can see what is happening right here. We have just one row here, but we have 3 columns. There's a column here where we have this scrolling product, we have another column for this image, and we have another column for this text. Now in the first column we have just one column, and in the second column we have just one column, and it is not divided into rows. But in the third column we have this row here that is containing the navigation bar, and we have another row that is containing the text, and we have another row that is containing the social icon. Okay, so if you are thinking of designing your page, what you think is how to arrange your web content into rows and columns. So what are web content? They are the text, the images, the videos, and so on. You can see this is a button, we call it CTA, call to action. You can see these are products, you can see this is image, these are icons, these are text, those are web content. So how do you arrange your web content? With relevant colors. That is what web page design is all about. Now I want to explain the environment of Elementor. Now if you look to the top right here, we have this plus. When you click on this plus, it will give you this widget bar. In the widget bar now, we have the sections. You can see layout section, you can see basic, you can see pro, you can see general, you can see link in bio, you can see the widgets there. They are sectioned. Okay, so from the layout we have container and grid. That is where you set your layout. But I'm coming back to this. Let us go back to this site settings. If you click on site settings, it's going to take you to the site settings. Under the site settings, you are going to see global color, global font, typography, button, images, form feed, site identity, AI content, background. But actually you can use Elementor for years without coming to site settings here, okay? Because you may not really want to set global color, you may not really want to set global font. Okay, so then don't let us waste time on that. Let me just hit the nail on the head. Okay, so if I go back here, you can see we are back to the element tabs. Okay, we have the widget. Now if I click here, we can have the structure. So you can see the structure here. Now we don't have any widget right now, so that is why we don't have anything on the structure. So let me just close it for now. We'll come back to that. Now on the top here we have page settings. Don't forget, this is site settings and this is page settings. So if I come to the page settings right here, you can see there are some things we can do. You can see the page title is home, just the way I've named it before we edited it with Elementor. So from here I can change my page title. I can change this to home page, for instance. Then it's going to change to home page. The title is going to change. Now I can change the status to draft, I can change it to pending review, I can change it to private, I can change it to published. But for now this page has been published. If I change it to draft, of course it is not going to be visible anymore. Okay, now I can add feature image. If you have followed my course, of course you will know what is feature image by now. Then you can allow comments, you can hide title. So if I click on hide title, it is going to hide this title. Now we have page layout. If I refresh this page, this is what we have. Or let me publish, then let me refresh this page. Now this is what we have. This is a layout, this is a template that we have. Now if I come to this page layout and change from default to Elementor canvas and publish, then let us come to the front end and refresh and see what we have. Okay, so you can see that nothing displays. That is how Elementor canvas behave. It does not mean that when you put something on this page that it will not appear, but once you are working with Elementor canvas, let me go back to the settings. Once you are working with Elementor canvas, the footer and the header will not show until you create a custom footer and custom header. Okay, so now, but if I come to this page for instance, and let me just put something on this page. So if I'm putting heading, for instance, let me put this text here. You can see add your heading text here and publish. So let me come back to the home page and refresh. You can see what I have, so the text will definitely show. Okay, so that is that for the Elementor canvas. Let us go back to the page settings. So if I come back here and choose Elementor full width, most of the times I use Elementor full width a lot. So if I click on publish and to refresh here, let me just click on this eye icon and preview changes. So you can see my text still appear, then the title of the channel appear, then the footer credit appear. So the idea is this: it will give you the full width, the header and the footer will also show up. Okay, so those are the page layouts that we have in Elementor. So you can choose default, you can use canvas, you can also use full width, but in this tutorial I'm going to be using full width so that we can have our header and the footer. That is that about page settings. Then we have this responsiveness column. So you can see this is for desktop, and this is for tablet, and this is for mobile. Okay, so this enables you to see how your website will look on desktop, and when you choose to the tablet, it will also enable you to see how your website will look like on the tablet. And when you choose the mobile, it will also make you to see how your website will look like on a mobile phone. Okay, let me switch back to desktop for now. Then also this eye icon, you can see preview changes. When you click on it, it will take you to the front end for you to see what you have done, how it looks like on the front end. Okay, so that is for the top bar of Elementor. And then let's now come back to the sidebar here. So from this widget, we have the sections, we have the layout, we have the basics. So the basics contains the contents that you may likely want to use. So if you want to put an heading, you use heading widgets. If you want to use just normal text, you use text editor. If you want to add a button, you use button. So whatever you want to add on your page, they are here. Okay, now on the Pro tab, of course you cannot use all these elements because I'm using free Elementor, but if you want to buy the Elementor, you are free to buy. Now let me quickly take a bit of theoretical aspect of what we want to do so that you can have a better understanding of what I want to teach. Now I'm coming to my PowerPoint. Now if you check this layout, this is how your website actually look like without any content. So we have the navigation bar up here, we have the main content section, and we have the sidebar. Now on this main content is where we want to focus our attention in this tutorial. Now on the main content, you may decide to have a row like this and another row and another row. Okay, so that is when you are designing your main page. Okay, so the first row is most times the hero section. Okay, you will see the banner up here, sometimes you will see sliding images. We call it carousel. So the first section is most times like that. Then the second section, you can decide to divide it the way you want. You can add two columns. So we have a column to the left and a column to the right. So you can decide to say, okay, I want to put image in the first column and text in the second column. For instance, you are trying to write a biography of someone, you can put the person's picture here and the text to the right, or the other way around, anyhow you want it. But you can further say, okay, this column, I want to divide it into two rows. Okay, so you can move like this. The first row should be the image and the text should be under, and you can do the same with the second column also. You can see what happens here. So we have two rows and another column in one column. Okay, so that is achievable and it is easy to do with Elementor. So with this, you can decide to put an image here, a text here, and a call to action button here. Okay, then under here you can divide it the way you want. Okay, so let's leave this screen and go back to the Elementor. All right, what you have just been taught right now, let us put it into practice. Let us create a section and let us try to divide the section. Before we proceed, let me remove this text right here. We don't need it. Now we come under this layout section. Let me click on this container. So if I click on this container, it will create a row for us. When you click on that container, then you will see the sidebar will change for you to modify the container. Now, if I'm not clicking on the container, I will have something different on the sidebar. But because this container is clicked, now I'm having edit container. And this edit container also, I'm having three tabs. I'm having layout, style, and advanced. Okay, so the layout, you can determine the container layout. Do you want it to be flexbox or grid? But I don't want to explain that for now because that is more of CSS. Okay, CSS is a language you use in styling. Okay, so don't let me bother you with that. So for now, let us work with flexbox. Then do you want the content width to be boxed or you want it to be full width? Okay, then you can determine the width and the height here. Then also you can determine the direction of the content. Now let me take it a little bit deeper. Now if I'm clicking on this container and I come under style, you should understand what a style is. You can add color, you can add background color. Now let me come on this place, background type. Under background here, we have different kinds of backgrounds that you can add. We have classic, we have gradient, we have video, and we have slideshow. So it depends on what you want to add. So let me start with classic. Classic is simply an image or color. So let me start with color here. So if I clicking on this color, I can select this color. You can see we have color red. And if I want to add image, of course it is simple for me to do that. Now let me publish and see what we have on the front end. Now you can see we have color red, and then I can come back to the element. Let me just add this heading, okay, and publish. Okay, you can see I'm having a section with red background and the text in it. Okay, I think it is making sense now. Now let me come back to this section. If you observe my screen right now, you will discover that immediately I clicked on the text widget, the sidebar also changes to the property of that text widget. Okay, now we have edit heading. Now if I click on this section, you will see that sidebar will also change to edit container. So each widget you click, the sidebar changes to the property of that widget. Okay, so let me go back to edit container. Now coming back to this structure, let me click on this structure. Now you can see we now have container and we have heading. You can see now that T heading is inside the container. Okay, so I can decide to rename this for clarity purpose. I can decide to say, okay, main container. Okay, so I can name it like that and say main container, because I can create as many as possible sections. So let me come to this place and right click and click on duplicate. You can now see that I'm now having two containers. I can decide to add other things to this second container. So whatever you are having on your page, you can see all of them under this structure. So when you click on structure, you are going to see all of them, and also you can arrange and rearrange everything here. Now let me change this text here. Let me just type I am here. Let me also change the background of this section. Let me change it to black. Okay, so we have black down and red up. So if I come to my structure here, I can decide to move this second container up. Okay, so you can now see that the black is up and the red is down. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to tell you is that with your structure, you can control how your content is arranged on your page. Okay, so let me close this and remove this. Then let us move further. I want to remove this text. Now I want to further divide this section into two. So you can see this container right here. What you just have to do is just to move the container inside that container. Okay, so you can see another container is now inside. Okay, now if I want it to be two, I can simply right click on it and duplicate it. Now this is the parent container. We have the parent container here, and we have the child container. We have two. Now in this child container, I can style the child container on its own. Okay, so if I click on this child container and I come under style tab, I can change it to red color, or I can change it to any color of my choice. Let me change it to black. You can see the parent container remains red, the child container is black, and this other child container also, I can decide to give it an image background. So you can see it right here. We have classic, we have gradient, we have video, we have slideshow. Okay, so let me give it an image. Okay, let me just upload an image right here. Okay, so I have an image right here. You can see this is now an image. Okay, I can also determine the height of this section. So if I come under layout, I can say the minimum height should be 678 pixels, for instance. Then if I click, I'll publish and then come to my home page. You can see what I have. So the first section is black and the second section background is image. Now you can see that this image is repeated. It is only one image that I uploaded, but I'm seeing it repeated. So what I have to do is to come under style and come under this image. Then the image on its own has styling. Okay, so the image resolution should be full. Then position, you can make it to be center left, center right, just the way you want it. Now let me first of all come under this repeat and change it to no repeat. Okay, so no repeat now, and publish. Now you can see it. I'm having just one image because I said it should not repeat itself. Now I want this image to take the full width of its container. Now what I have to do is to come under display size. I can make it auto, I can make it cover, I can make it container. You can try them out, but I'm going to use cover. Okay, so you can see now if I publish, you can now see the image is covering that container. Now I want you to understand it better, so let me remove this container right here. Okay, that has been removed. Now let me choose this. Okay, now don't forget that this is inner container. and it is taking the full width. Now let's move ahead. So I can duplicate this. If I duplicate this, we now have two. If I want them to be side by side, then I'll come back to the main container and then come under layout and choose this direction, row horizontal. Okay, so you can see the two rows are now coming side by side as columns. So if I publish it and then come back to my front end, let's see what we have. So you can see it right here that we now have the two rows as columns side by side. Now let us create another row. So I'm going to use this. Okay, so we have another row right here. So clicking on this section now, I can determine the width and say it should not be box, it should be full width. Then the minimum height also, it should be the view height. Okay, so now if I come here, we have measurement units here. We have pixel, we have EM, we have REM, we have view height. So I use this view height most of the time. So now I want it to be 100 view height, meaning taking the view height of the screen. Okay, so if I come under style now, let me give it a background. Okay, let me give it a background color of blue, for instance, and publish. Okay, so you can now see that this blue section is taking the full width and the full height of the screen. So if I come back to this structure now, you can now see all the containers, all the widgets that I've created, they are here. Okay, so let me close this, let me delete this and do something nice here. So I want to make this main container to have a background image and have two sections on it. So we are now working with two layers. We have the background and we have the foreground. So let me remove this color right here. You can see clear. Okay, I'm clearing this color. Then I want to add an image. So I'm adding this image. I'll click on select, and just the way I've told you, you can repeat, no repeat, then the size it should cover. Okay, now if I publish it, of course I have this, and this is nice. Of course you might have seen something like this on website before. Now I have background overlay here. Don't forget, I told you any section or elements that you are choosing, just come back to this sidebar. You will see whatever you can do with that section or element. Okay, so I'm having background overlay here, so I can place a color on this image. So I will come here, I want to use black overlay, and also I can set the opacity here. So if I want it to be darker, you can see it right here. If I want it to be lighter, I will reduce the opacity. Okay, so I'm setting the opacity to be like this. Now if I click on publish and go back to the home, you can see what I have, and of course it is looking nice. Okay, now I want to have two columns here, and I want to place my text in one column. Then I will come under this add elements, and I want to add container. Okay, so I'm adding another container. Then you can see the container right here. So I want to add another container inside this container. So if I click on add elements, I can click on container and put it inside the container. Then this container, let me duplicate it. Good. So we have a parent container and we have two containers inside. Now the parent container, I want to click on the parent container and click on this direction. Then the two containers will come side by side as a column. Then I want it to be in the center of the main column. Now don't let me disturb you, let me just publish it for now. Okay, you can see we are not seeing anything about that column for now because they are empty. So let me put text in both of them. So I want to put heading here and also put an heading here. Okay, so let me publish. Now we have it. We have the first column and we have the text in the second column also. But I want them to be in the center. So what do? You come to the parent container and under layout, and then you can see justify content center. Then it will come to the center. If I publish right here, you can see both of them are now in the center. This is looking already like the hero section. This is what we call hero section. Now if I come back, of course I don't need this. I want that column to be empty, so I've removed the text. I want to focus on this place. So I want the heading and I want a text here. Okay, so I will put the text widget here. Then I want a button there, so I will put the button here. Good. So let me publish and see what we have. Good. You can see what we have right here. So let us go and style each of them. So this text, I want it to be welcome to my site. And of course I want it to be white. My welcome is not correct. So whenever you want to style any widget, what you just have to do is to click on it. Then from the sidebar you will have content, you will have style, and you will have advanced. Okay, so under content you can change the content, modify the content just the way you want it. But under style you can now style the content. That is where you determine if you want the text to be big, if you want it to be bold, if you want it to be small, you want to change the color. It is under style. Don't forget these three tabs. They are very important: the content, the style, and the advanced. Okay, so under the advanced, how do you want to align it? Do you want to align it to the right or to the left or to the center? So if I click on the left, of course it is on the left by default. If I click on the center, of course it will align to the center. But for now I want it to be aligned to the left. Okay, then typography. If I come under typography and click on that pencil, then I can decide to choose another font. If I click on the font family, I can change the font family the way I want it. Of course it will change. Then if I want to increase the text or I want it to be small, you can see welcome to my site. You can see how big or small it is. You can control it here. So let me leave it at 80. This is 87. Let me leave it at 80. Welcome to my site. Then you can transform it. You can make it uppercase, lowercase. If I change it to uppercase, it will change to uppercase. Then you can determine the line height also, the gap between the line of text. Okay, that is what we call line height. Then letter spacing, the space between the letters. Okay, then the word spacing also, the space between the words. So you can try out all these and see what they do. Then I want to change the color to white. You can see text color here, so it's just to drag to white. Okay, then here also I want to change this text to color white, so I will choose my color here and change it to color white. Then if I click on this button also, each of the widgets you are choosing, you have this pencil icon. If you click on it, of course it will display what you need to work with that widget. So for the button now, you can see edit button. If I want it to link anywhere, I can put my link here. Then I can choose type, but this type is not very much important. Now the text on it here, I can change the text here. I can say buy from me. Okay, so you can see it right there. If I publish, let us see what we have. Okay, so from the home page you can see what we have right here. So it is already looking very nice. Okay, so up here we should have our navigation bar. That one is normal. Okay, so you can see welcome to my site. Then whatever text you want to put here, then the button. So you can see it right here. Now if I want to style the button, I'm still on the button, edit button. Of course, if I want to change color, I want it to be bigger, however I want it to be, of course it is under style. So I will come under style, and then you can see it right here, text color, background type, color. Okay, so the text color is white. If you want to change it, you can change it, but the color of the button is green. So I can decide to change it to something else. Let me change it to blue, for instance. Okay, so you can see it right here, it is blue. Okay, now let me come to this advanced. You can see margin and padding. Margin is the space outside container, while padding is the space inside the container. So now this button is a container on its own. Now if I want it, like if I want this button to shift from the left to shift inward, then it is going to be margin left. If I want a space up it, then it is going to be margin top. Okay, that is outside the button. So let me do what I want to do here. Now if you are putting any number here, it will affect it round, top, right, bottom, left. But I need to detach it, so I don't want to link value together. So I will click on this so that it can be separate. Okay, so the top now, let me add 50. Oh, sorry. So I want to add margin top. Okay, so this is margin top. I want to add 50. Okay, so let me publish. Now you can see that this button has gained space from the text up. Let me increase it to 500 so that you can see it clearly. Now you can see the gap now. That is margin. It will create space outside the container you are targeting. Now let us come to the margin left. Okay, you can see margin left here. So let me say 100 and publish. Now on the front end, now you can see what has happened. It has pushed that button from the left to the right. Okay, so that is what margin does. Now let me remove all these numbers because we don't need those margin left and margin top. Now what about this padding? The padding will create space. Let me refresh, let me publish. Okay, so we have our button back. Now what about padding? The padding will create space inside the container. So look at that button as a container. Now if I put padding here and put 20, for instance, you can see the wall of that container, it is creating space. Okay, so let me remove that 20 for now. Also you can see align self. If I put center, it will come to the center. If I put end, it will come to the right. If I put stretch, then it will stretch that container. You can see the container right here. So let us put it by the start. Then also for the motion effects, you can also include motion. Okay, so you can say fade down. Now if I publish and come to the front end, as the page is loading, you will see that the button will be coming down. It will be fading downward. Okay, look at the button, it will be fading downward. Okay, so that is that about layout. You can test other things out. I've mentioned the important things. Let's come back under style. So under the style, you can see we have normal and we have hover, H-O-V-E-R. Hover is what happens when you move your pointer over the button. Now for normal, we have chosen our color. Now on hover, what do we have? The text color can change. So let's choose a color. Let's choose red. So if I publish right now and come to the home page, so if I move my pointer over it now, you can see it is changing to red. Okay, so that is over for you. Then another thing you can do is that if you want to add another section, you can decide not to pass through here. You can come here, you can see this plus right here, click on it, then click on flexbox. Then from here you can choose layout. So I want to choose my direct column. Then from here I can determine the minimum heights. Okay, then under style I can add background overlay, I can add background color. So let me add my background color and let me just add something like this. Good. Then I publish. Okay, so I have my site banner and this is another section right here. So on this another section I can decide to add image to the left, text to the right. So let me add a container here. So I'm going to add this container, and inside the container I want two containers that will stand side by side. So I have the first container and then the second container. So I'm going to click on the main container that is containing the two containers and come under direction so that both of them can stay side by side. Now I will come and click on the section and make it to be at the center. So you can see the two containers standing side by side at the center. So I want to add image here. So I will come under add element and look for image placeholder. So you can see the image right here. I'm going to drag it and put it here. Then to the right I want to add text heading and the normal text editor. Okay, then also I want to add my button, which is call to action. Then you can see what we have. So let me add an image here. For instance, you want to create a section, you can add image of somebody here. Okay, then the text, if I come under styling, I can decide to give it any color of my choice and also style the button. So let me publish so you can see what we have. Okay, so these are basic things that you can do with Elementor. Okay, now let me come under responsiveness. Okay, so you can see how it is displayed on desktop. Now if I click here, that sidebar will close, then you can see what we have. Now if I open back and come under tab, you can see what we have. Let me close this back so you can see what we have. It is not really looking nice, so we need to style it better. Okay, so now I'm on tablet view. I want this text to be at the center. So what I'm going to do now is that this particular column, we want it to take the width of the screen because we want that text and everything to be at the center. So we'll come back to the main container. You know, on the desktop we set the direction so that both of them will come side by side. Now we are going to set the column to be vertical. Okay, so you can see now this is now up and this is down and this button is down. Now the next thing we are going to do now is to make all these contents to be at the center. So let us select the heading, then we'll come under style and then you can see alignment. We want it to be center, so you can see how it looks like now. Then we'll come to the text also. Under alignment we put it at the center, then we click on the button also. Then we can come under advanced and look for align safe. Okay, then we click on center, then it is aligned. Then we can now publish. Now if I close this sidebar now, you can see what we have. So you can see what we have. This is the display on the tablet. Now if I come back to the desktop, you can see how it looks like. But if I switch to the tablet, you can see how it looks like. So that is how to do the responsiveness of your website. Now if I come to the mobile view now, you can see that it is not looking nice because that text is too big. It is even going out of the screen. Okay, so what we have to do is to select the text, then come under style and then under typography. Then we can now reduce the size. Okay, so you can see you can reduce the size, but the gap in between is too much. Then you can also reduce the line height. Okay, so you can see now it is looking better and looking nice. So if I close this sidebar now, you can see what we have, and it is looking very good. You can see what we have right here. So if I come on tablets, we have a nice view, and if I come on the desktop, we have a nice view. Now let me teach you this also. For instance, you want to hide something on mobile view. Okay, so you can see we have everything here, but let's assume that I want to hide this text. For instance, I want to hide this text on mobile view. So what I'm going to do is to come under advanced, then I will come to responsive. Then you can see hide on desktop, hide on tablet, hide on mobile. So if I click on hide on tablet, for instance, you can see it is still showing well on my desktop. Now let me close this sidebar. If I come under tablet, for instance, you can see that heading has disappeared. But if I come on mobile, that heading is showing again. Why? Because I have hidden it on tablet. Now if I hide it on mobile also, you can see it. I'm not seeing it on mobile again. You can see it is faded. So if I close this tab, I'm not seeing it anymore. Okay, meanwhile on desktop I can still see it. Okay, so with this style you can hide a complete section using Elementor. And another thing I want to teach you here is that Elementor has templates that you can use. So you can click on this folder icon here. Okay, then it will take you to this page. You can see blogs, you can see pages, and you can see templates. Okay, so on the blogs you can see Pro. These are available for you when you pay for Elementor. But for the free one, of course, you are still going to see some that are free. Okay, anyone that is not Pro is free. Like this one is not carrying Pro, it is free. So I can click on insert. Good, so you can see what I have right here. It is being inserted. So if I click on publish, you can see it. I have it here. So I can decide to customize this. I can decide to make it a complete page. Okay, you can also insert a complete page. So if I click on this folder icon now, you can see pages here. We have blogs, we have pages. So if I insert this, it is a complete page design. Then also I can save a template. So if I'm clicking on template here, you can see it is empty. But if I close it, let's say I want this hero banner to appear on all pages in my website, so I can decide to be adding it. So I can save this section. If I right click on it and click on save as a template, then I can give it a name and say hero section or hero banner, and click on save. Okay, so right here you can see it. I have hero banner. So any page I want to work with in the nearest future, I can decide to click on insert, then it will insert to that page. Now this is it. If I close this and come back, don't forget I've added it as a template. If I click on this folder icon now, and you can see under template, I will see what I have added, hero banner. Then if I click on insert and click on apply the settings of the container too, okay, I click on apply, you can see it has been added. So if I publish, it will be published and show on my page. Alright, this is just the basics of Elementor. Of course, there are deeper sides of Elementor. You can use Elementor to create an e-commerce website. You can use Elementor to create any kind of website you want to create. And of course, in the subsequent videos, I'm going to be using Elementor to create some websites so that you can see it working live. But at this stage, you should be able to try out some things on Elementor. So that will be all for this tutorial. I hope to see you in my next video. But if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notification bell so that you can receive real-time notification when I upload my content. All right, thank you for watching this tutorial. See you in my next video.